Hello everyone, welcome to Boarded Survival episode 5. Just as a catch up, we are 30 out of 101 advancements, 2 out of 67 mob base farms, no bases and no warden killed. Also, this episode was streamed live on Twitch, so if you'd like to catch some Boarded Survival episodes live, drop a follow at twitch.tv/IADravenii. Let's get into the video. We started off this episode by expanding the border as usual, taking us from an 11 by 11 to a 19 by 19 chunk area. After exploring around for a little bit, there wasn't too much we had exposed apart from more ocean and the start of a spruce forest. Here we grabbed some sweet berries and noticed that there were now some pigs on the inside of the border. However, we couldn't do much with them in the moment as we don't have access to carrots until we find a village or a lucky zombie drops one. Just on the outside of the border by the ocean, there was also a ruined portal within tasting distance, yet remains alluringly out of reach. And in the forest on the other end of the map, there was also a second beehive as a backup, if we ever messed up either A, trying to make an automatic bee farm, or B, attempting a total bee location. Upon finishing checking out the overworld, I suggested seeing what new things we unlocked in the Nether, and playfully suggested we tried raiding the Bastion that was just out of reach last episode. Much to chat's horror, and their unshakable faith in my ability to do somewhat risky Minecraft things was well proven by a poll that was ran 10 minutes into the 4-hour stream about my ability to survive without dying once that stream, in which 99% of my viewers voted that I would in fact not survive, which started a chain of people suggesting fun ways I could get better items and gear by doing very smart and very advisable things. I of course called them all very silly, while trying to kill 2 piglin brutes 2 blocks below me, subsequently angering extra piglins that had crossbows and were a bit more equipped than the brutes to knock me off my small cobblestone bridge. Chat was looking hopeful that they would get a good payout of the points they invested in my death poll. However, using my incredible sword throwing technique, I was able to dispose of the brutes and extra piglins without going too far below half health, blocking myself into the chest to protect from any other piglin attacks. We gained our 30-second achievement, War Pigs. Also in this chest was a very lucky find of a lodestone, which would have used up an entire netherite ingot if we had crafted it on our own, which allowed us to get Country Lode Take Me Home later on in the stream. After deciding that we had used enough luck getting that lodestone from the chest, we left the Bastion to explore the rest of the Nether, hoping to maybe have a small patch of Soul Sand Valley so we could get an achievement by looking at a ghast or a spyglass. However, the corner near the Bastion was only a small patch of wastes and nothing too interesting. Walking back towards the Bastion to get to the overworld portal, we spotted 2 Bastion chests and I couldn't even pretend to want to resist looting them anymore, deciding to go for a less risky, albeit slower method to loot the chests, by breaking through the ceiling above instead of trying to run past the piglins. That allowed us to get out with the loot unscathed. We decided to head over to the other side of the Nether to see if we could spot something like a fortress or new biomes, getting the gold block from the pillar on the way. I was helpfully reminded that being somewhat accident prone, it would probably be best for us to put our new valuables in a chest to preserve them on the off chance that I succumbed to chat's whims and died. Heading back out into the Nether armed with a spyglass, we tried to spot a ghast since it seemed like this side of the map had a way larger area of Nether wastes. We saw a second Bastion just outside the border, as well as a wart forest just behind it. However, our best discovery yet was within the border. We saw ghast cries on the subtitles and started hastily looking around. After running around like a headless chicken for a few minutes, we managed to spot the ghast with a spyglass, getting "Is it a balloon?" and I got a little excited. Wait, it's here! Bonjour! Hi! Hello! Nice to meet you! Hi, my name is IADravenii. I'm here to let you try and kill me so I can kill you. And then we also got returned to sender, though the ghast here and gunpowder burnt in the fire underneath. Heading back to the overworld, chat bemoaning my lack of untimely doom, we headed to the basement to grab the lodestone and craft a compass. Placing the lodestone next to Jim Bob and activating the compass, we got Country Lode Take Me Home, and now we can keep Jim Bob's safety on our hotbar at all times. Deciding to start on a cow farm, since we'll need a lot of leather for bookshelves to get a fully leveled up enchantment setup, we decided on a relatively simple cow farm design, which uses entity cramming to automatically kill the cows. Basically, the cows sit on a hopper and the player uses water to push the cows up so they can be bred easily. A fence post is placed above them to stop them bouncing around like crazy. I put a smoker under this farm as well to get an extra supply of food along with the leather. The cows were then lured into the farm with relative ease, completing the 3rd mob farm. Imbued with confidence, we decided to use the wool our sheep farm had gathered to make beds for netherite mining. Heading to the Nether after leaving our valuables in the basement, we tried to find a place low in the world away from the lava lakes, as we didn't have any fire resistance, so if we got caught in lava, we would be done for. The first staircase we tried to make towards Y15 was a bit of a disaster, but the second staircase, oh boy. We dug to Y15 without incident while making a tunnel to start exploiting the beds. We came across not just one piece of ancient debris, but the rarest 3 vein. Riding high, we continued exploiting beds until we exposed a 4th piece of debris, heading back to the base with a skip in our step to get our diamond pickaxe. We returned, mined out the debris, got hidden in the depths, and headed back to the base. Fully intending intentioning to use the netherite ingot to make a netherite chestplate, as that would be, you know, extremely helpful at not letting us die. I was convinced, i.e. peer pressured, to instead use the ingot to make a netherite hoe for serious dedication. Bemoaning my very unimpressive armor setup plus hoe, we ventured into the caves as we wanted to make more farms, but our iron supply was getting shockingly low. We traversed through a cave system that ended up leading back into a few areas we had lit up on the previous episode, so we used the opportunity to scour the walls for iron and coal, only having a few close calls, one with a witch poisoning us in the middle of an unlit cavern, the other in a small section of cave near the end of the border. We were poking around to try and see if the few blocks of mineshaft extended any further on the inside of the border. We had to shield and pray for our survival against 2 skeletons and 2 creepers. Deciding that the iron we found was about as lucky as we were going to get, we headed back up to the surface to smelt it into ingots and find the target for our next farm. As we had just unlocked some spruce forest, we had a peruse to see if we could find a fox or 2 on the inside of the border. They could be used to make a sweet berry farm. Not the most useful on its own, but it could be used as a way to get a bulk amount of bone meal, or worse comes to worse, a backup food source. We couldn't find any foxes though, so we turned our attention to the bees. I'd never personally made a bee farm before, so I did some searching to see what designs people were using. We found a design showcased by YouTube user Gecko. So how the farm works is that beehives have a piece of data called a honey level between 1 and 4. When the hive gets to level 4, it's ready to harvest. So a comparator at the back of the hive gives a stronger output the higher the honey level. So there's a redstone line extending the output, so it activates a dispenser on top of the hive when it reaches honey level 4, harvesting the honey, and the hopper below the hive puts it into a chest, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. We put shears in the dispenser to harvest honeycomb, but putting bottles in will also work to produce honey. It started raining as we were finishing off the bee farm, so chat requested we build a little doghouse for Jim Bob and Co, so they wouldn't be so beholden to the weather. We decided to head back to the nether as our sheep had produced enough wool to make more beds, deciding again to not only forego the fire resistance, but also putting away our valuables this time as, you know, what's the worst that could happen? We kept poking tunnels, exploiting beds, and whenever we'd hit a large lava pool, we would turn 90 degrees and head in a different direction, this being a more time efficient way to expose ancient debris than making the explosions in neat little rows. This, however, had the downside of making the tunnels very difficult to navigate, as each explosion site looks near identical, so it's very easy to get lost or turn in circles, trying to find a specific area. So luckily, we never had to try and find our way through the tunnels on a time limit of say 5 or so minutes, right? JK, we mined into a lava pocket and we didn't block it off quick enough, so we were trapped in lava too long to panic eat to out-heal the fire, causing us to die and our stuff to explode everywhere in a strangely reminiscent way. And well, with the second out of 10 allowed deaths wasted to literally the exact same thing as the first, we tried to find our stuff before it all despawned to no avail, as by the time we were in the correct section, the stuff had despawned a full minute previously, and with the tragic loss of our enchanted diamond boots and a fresh, never been used before netherite hoe, we end the episode here. So thank you everyone for watching us, and join us next week for recovering our stuff and bemoaning our stupidity, aka episode 6 of Boarded Survival. See you guys soon. This, and I'm gonna have, wait, exit stage. Oh god, I'm on fire. I'm on fire. Oh goodness, oh golly. Wait, crap, what button do I press? Wait, this one. Okay. Probably a bad idea to do examples in the nether.